Eat Well, Travel Often is sponsored by The Book House, an independent bookstore with a cozy atmosphere where you can browse a plethora of fantastic selections, all while enjoying a delicious hot beverage. The folks at The Book House spend a lot of time curating the books found on their shelves so that patrons of all ages can walk in and find all kinds of exceptional reads. Owner Nadaj Nickel also welcomes in local artists and artisans who display their work in a special gallery space. While you're browsing the Book House's many literary gems, make sure to also check out their ever-changing events calendar, featuring readings from authors, topic discussions, workshops, book club meetings, and more. Whether you're looking for a classic, a bestseller, a hidden treasure, or maybe just a community to join, visit the Book House, located at 281 Essex Street in Millburn, New Jersey, or online at thebookhousemillburn.com. Tell them we said hello.
Welcome to Eat Well, Travel Often, a podcast about food, travel, the environment, mind, body, and spirit. I'm Melissa Goldberg, and over the course of my adult life, I've been focused on how to build an integrated community around food, health, wellness, and the environment. These are all related. Understanding these interrelationships helps us look at life as a holistic system and teaches us how to connect with each other to create a loving and thriving community. On Eat Well, Travel Often, I talk to farmers, foragers, cookbook authors, doctors, scientists, and entrepreneurs. All have one thing in common. The people I speak with are trying to better everyone's lives through their work and passion. These are the people who inspire me to be a better person. I hope to share with you my curiosity from everything from book to plate. And the goal of these conversations are to inspire you to eat well and travel often. Today, we live in a time when manufactured medicines and prescriptions prevail. But are they the best way to heal? Are they the only way we should heal? Plants are rarely viewed as anything more than objects that we can be reduced to the chemical compound, or an object that's nice to look at, perched in a corner. However, many people are finding themselves turning back to medicinal plants. As with many aspects of our natural world, there are so much more to plants than meet the eye. The natural world is full of beauty, nourishment, and healing if we only know where to look. For tens of thousands of years, human cultures around the globe had all their needs met by plants, animals, and natural resources. For medicine, they could find a finely stocked pharmacy in the roots, herbs, fungi, and trees all around them. These early people discovered that plant medicines did wonders to heal physical ailments, and so has today's guest, Shannon Mulligan-Mayernik of Mayernik's Kitchen. Shannon, along with her husband Matt, sell over 75 plant medicine products. They host plant medicine workshops and classes to introduce more people to the power of what is around us to heal. As a special bonus for Eat Well, Travel Often listeners, Shannon is offering a 15% discount on all their products. Use code EATWELL, all lowercase and one word. Coupon expires June 30th, so stock up. Welcome, Shannon. How are you?
I'm well. How are you, Melissa?
Good. I'm so glad to have you on my podcast. So I just wanted to start out right with the basic question. So can you tell me, what is plant medicine?
Sure. Plant medicine is plants that provide medicinal use to us. In my eyes, I feel this can be anything from herbs, culinary, or herbs that you're growing that per se have medicinal properties. It could be the weeds in your backyard. It could be fruits, vegetables. I think any type of plant could have some sort of advantage for you if you're taking it. So I think plant medicine is a broad word per se. I think, like I said, I think it could be any type of plant that has medicinal uses to us.
So herbs, are used all over the non-industrial societies. What is the difference between herbal medicine and plant medicine? Is there a difference?
I don't think there is much of a difference. No, I think it's the two words could kind of be interchangeable. When people say herbal medicine, I think they automatically think, herbs. So whether you're talking about holy basil, chamomile, motherwort, anything like that. When you hear plant medicine, you could think of, okay, well, I'm going to eat lemons or limes for the benefits of the citrus. So Matt and I use them interchangeably. We say we're plant medicine makers, but I think it could also be, herbal medicine, I think kind of just might go more towards the herbs rather than a plant in whole.
Right. So, in Asia and Africa, plant medicine, and even in Europe, it's used all over, but Americans really don't use it. What do we shun away from? How we've lost touch with, our plants, and we don't even go outside anymore. It's crazy.
Right. Yeah. And as we've been studying and learning and, working with other herbalists and practitioners, I think it comes down to education. People don't know. They think, oh, herbal medicine, ooh, that's a little witchy or woo-woo, so they kind of shy away from it. They like the convenience of maybe running to the CVS to grab cough medicine when, in our home here, okay, so it might take a little more time, but we might throw a syrup together on the stove with some mullein and, helpful things that we have in the house that would benefit us in a way that others don't know. And I really think it comes down to education. People just, and especially now, I feel like it's starting to make a turn. You think about our grandparents or even our great-grandparents, this was the only way they knew. And then as generations went on, I feel like it lost that possibly in, my parents' generation, which would have been the 50s, the 60s. But I kind of feel like it's starting to come back a bit. Our audience is usually moms. So I see a lot of moms saying, hey, maybe we could try something holistic or something medicinal that the plants are providing for us rather than running to the pharmacy to grab something. So I think it's really just going to come down to education and, teaching and sharing what we know on how the plants could help us in our everyday lives.
It's so funny that you say that it's mothers. I remember when my kids were little and they would have an earache and I'd go to the doctor and they'd say, oh, they have an ear infection. Give me a prescription. And then I would go home and make some garlic oil, put it in their ear and throw out the prescription. I mean, I never I used to say I could wallpaper my house with all the prescriptions that I never used,
I think it's the convenience and it's the scare factor of doctors. And I am not against going to a doctor by any means. And I think they have a place in, our lives. But for, like you said, an earache. Okay, so yeah, let's try garlic oil or let's make a mullein flower oil that you could put into the ear rather than a week of antibiotics that's just going to screw your gut up and everything else. So I really think it's coming down to education, and what we do, here at Mayernik Kitchen that's one of our biggest things. We want to educate anyone and everyone who will listen to us. We've been studying for years, and I'm not saying I know anything. I know a tiny, tiny portion of what could be learned out there, but I think us sharing our information is the only way that people are going to, understand it and try it. I'm not saying you need to jump, into the deep end and do everything, but like you said, garlic oil, or maybe we'll take elderberry syrup if we have a cold or the flu, or make a cup of tea if we're feeling run down. So I think it's things like that just could be turned into, the mindset of trying something new and see if it works.
Right. And I think also people don't understand that a lot of the medicines that they get at the pharmacy were plant-based. That's where they came from. And they were just then developed in a pharmaceutical company who created a compound that was the same as what the plant was. So,
and a great example of that is willow bark, which we all know now as aspirin. So it was derived from the willow tree, and now it has who knows how many chemicals in it, but why not try a willow tincture? So it's a lot of, like you said, I think a lot of the pharmaceuticals originally started from plants, and then just over time more chemicals were pumped into them. And now, if we could educate, okay, so take a willow bark tincture rather than an aspirin, maybe that'll help you.
Do you see a resurgence or since you started, do you see more and more people going this path?
I do. Not in huge numbers, but I definitely see more of an interest and more people willing to try. So we have, we host workshops and talks, and some people you could tell are very hesitant, but they'll say, okay, you know what, let me try it. Let me see if it'll work. I've been on this medication or that medication for years for my migraines. Let me see if, I could take something you're offering to see if it'll help. So I'm not constantly popping a pill or something, like that. So I do see it's slowly coming around. And like I said, moms are, I think, some of the easiest maybe to convince, because not everything now, but you have all your organic and you want to be green cleaning your house. And I think it's just kind of following a trend, but I don't think they necessarily know yet that, like, how powerful it could be.
So in terms of herbal medicines, there's fungal, there's bee products, there's from herbs. What type of products do you make?
So we make, that's a good question. We make all different types of products. We do use plants. We use fresh plants and dry plants. We grow what we can here on our land. We go out and we forage for wild plants. And then what we can't grow here, say cinnamon or clove, anything like that, we then purchase. So we make tinctures, salves, an elderberry syrup, and a fire tonic that both have honey into it. So like you said, you're bringing a bee product into it. We do make mushroom tinctures. So we're doing a double extraction of the mushroom to get the alcohol properties and the water soluble properties out of the mushroom, because sometimes with mushrooms, they have both properties. So you want to be able to extract both of those to make the best medicine out of the mushroom. So we are incorporating different aspects, per se, of nature into our products. It's not just strictly plants.
Is there a particular mushroom that you use, or is it a mixture of types? Or
so we have 7 different mushroom tinctures. So we use shiitake, maitake, lion's mane, chaga, birch polypore, which is a polypore, and then we have turkey tail, and there's reishi. So,
all the good ones.
Yeah, and they're all, immune boosting. Some of them are adaptogens. Some of them are, just overall vitality. Their mushrooms are just amazing. So we try to incorporate them into our everyday life, whether it be through a tincture or a chaga tea, or cooking with them culinarily. So we feel mushrooms, and I feel mushrooms are kind of on the rise now too. People are becoming a lot more interested in mushrooms than just your, button mushrooms that you would cook with. People are starting to want to learn more about them, whether it's learning how to identify or learning to forage them, or just saying, hey, you know what, you make this, let me go ahead and give it a try, because I'd like to incorporate more mushrooms into my lifestyle.
Yeah, and I take lion's mane and turkey tail every day, and then a mixture of other ones. But they're amazing. Do you use the flower, or do you use the flower of the mushroom, or do you use the mycelium?
We usually, I guess it varies. When we purchase, so we do buy some cultivated mushrooms from local growers, if it's something we can't go out and forage. So we do use the mycelium. Flower-wise, that I can't answer that one.
So
I'm pretty sure it's just whatever, like if I'm out foraging, it's, what's available. So whether it is the flower, the mycelium,
Do you have
I'm not
beehives?
100% sure. What was that?
You have your own beehives?
We do have 2 beehives. We are, fingers crossed, hoping they make it through the winter. We have not seen much activity on some of the warmer days we've had. So, we overwinter them, but there's a mite that attacks honeybees, and it could take out a whole hive. So we're hoping once we go in, once it's warm enough for us to really get in there, we will see some activity in there.
So you mentioned you make tinctures and salves, and you sell dried herbs also. What is the difference, and what's the difference in like the efficacy of taking one over the other, or does it not matter?
So it definitely, I definitely think it matters depending on what you're looking to accomplish with taking the medicine. So our tinctures, we use either fresh or dried plants, and we make them with grain alcohol that's then cut because grain alcohol is so strong. The plants we do make tinctures with are alcohol soluble, so the alcohol is allowing as much like medicinal properties to be extracted from that plant to make the tincture, to make it into a plant medicine. Some plants are more water soluble, so that's when you want to move to a tea or an infusion. So a tea is a simple tea. You let it steep for 5-10 minutes and you enjoy a cup of tea. An infusion or an herbal infusion is you would let that steep for 8-10 hours and really going to get all of that medicinal property out of it, so then when you're sipping it or drinking it throughout the following day, you're getting a lot more medicine into you. So what we sometimes do is we'll make a half gallon or a quart the night before we want to enjoy it, and let it just sit on the counter overnight. So we pour the boiling water over the plant material, let it sit overnight, and then the next day we could just strain it and then enjoy the infusion. So if you're doing it for a condition, or if you're feeling sick, run down, I always recommend to do an infusion because you're going to get a lot more out of it rather than just steeping tea leaves or plant for 5 to 10 minutes.
So if someone comes to your site and they purchase something, is there instructions on how to infuse it and what you should do? Or is this just something that people know what to do? Or
no, people don't know what to do. So yeah, we do. We give instruction on, how to use it, and we suggest a dosage on what it is. So we actually don't sell any loose tea. Our main things are the tinctures. We make salves, elderberry syrup, fire tonic, and then we have a few like home type things. We have a lavender room spray. We have a rose facial spray. But what we're doing is we are incorporating into these products. So we're not just a few drops of essential oil or anything like that and saying, okay, here's your product. We're actually making infusions like I just talked about. So whether that be with the roses or with the lavender that we grow, we'll infuse, a big, half gallon worth of infusion. So we're really extracting all of those plant properties out of it, or medicinal properties out of it, and then making a product with it. So back a few years ago, we decided that in every product we make, we want to have a physical plant in it. So we're not just adding, a few essential oils here, a few essential oils here. We're literally making a product before then turning it into another product per se.
Right. So you mentioned elderberry, and elderberry is like very popular now. What is it good for? Like, why is it something that everybody should stock in their house? Should they have it?
I mean, it's an not autoimmune. It's a immune boosting syrup. So if you do have an autoimmune issue, you might want to be careful because this is going to help boost your immune system. So those that need to kind of reduce their immune system don't want to take it. You don't want to overactivate it. But in general, yes, I feel if you are able to take it and don't have any type of overactive immune system, you absolutely should be taking it daily. Once a day for preventative reasons, and then we take it 2, 3, 4 times a day if we're feeling run down or sick. So we take a tablespoon, super easy. You could throw it in your tea, you could throw it in a smoothie, you could really take it any way you want. We take it straight. But I do we've heard rave reviews about how it really helps the minute you have the onset of a cold or you think you're getting the flu or anything like that.
So, weird question, with the coronavirus going on, you think it's a good thing to take daily to boost your immune system?
Yeah, I think taking it daily, regardless of the viruses we may come in contact with or, that are being presented to us at this time, I think it's a great thing to take just to put into your daily habit. You make your coffee in the morning or you do this, you do that, you have your habits, just have your, tablespoon of elderberry syrup. Or if you don't want something sweet, we also offer then a fire tonic, which is the spices in it will kick any cold right on out of you.
My husband loves that fire cider. I can't go near it.
You and me both. I have to hold my nose, take a shot of it. And I know I should take it because I know it helps, but sometimes it's just, I take little sips and then a big sip of water. But it's okay, if I'm going to get it down, I'll get it down. But for some people that love that spicy, real punch in the gut type, they love it. And I've heard people, they make it into a salad dressing or they add it to their bone broth. So there's other ways you could incorporate these plant medicines into, your everyday cooking or your morning smoothie, just so it's not I need to take my elderberry or fire tonic. It just becomes a habit.
Is there a daily practice that we should all subscribe to? Are there certain herbal and plant medicines that we should be taking every day, like the elderberry?
Well, I would definitely say elderberry. Here, I can't really speak for what everyone should do not knowing what, either if there's medications they're on or what they may like or not like, but for Matt and I, we love to take, like you had mentioned earlier, lion's mane tincture in the morning, because it helps just boost your brain. So it's kind of we take that in the morning to kind of kickstart our brain, to focus, to really start the day off on the right foot. I would also recommend maybe a rosemary tincture for your brain. So it could go either way with that. And throughout the day, if I know I'm having a crazy busy day, or if I know I'm anxious about something, I'll reach for our motherwort tincture or our holy basil tincture. And I think with the education we're trying to provide, people could start to create their own, routine or their own ways of, okay, so I know it's going to be a crazy busy day. I know I'm going to be in a tough situation. Let me bring my, motherwort tincture with me. I'll take a few drops, allow it to calm me down a little. And it just becomes, we don't even think about it anymore. It just becomes like second nature.
Tell me, wait, you mentioned, what did you mention that you take for anxiety?
Holy basil tincture, or we have motherwort tincture.
Motherwort. So tell me, what motherwort, what are the properties of motherwort? Because
it's a mint, so it's in the mint family, and it acts as I don't want to say a sedative, like it's going to knock you out, but it helps calm. It's a nervine, so it's going to help calm your nerves if, like I said, you're ever in those situations where you're like, oh, I know today's going to be a really tense day, whether it's at work or someone I have to deal with, or and you could easily, they come in 1-ounce dropper bottles, so you could easily carry them with you. It's not like you're carrying this big old bottle around. And take a few drops. You could take it straight. You could take it in your water or your tea. And, there's been times where I literally feel it, like its effects immediately. Like you could just feel that, like, you just want to like sigh and say, okay, I'm going to be able to get through this. I could do this. So I think there's I keep going back to education, but I think as long as we're educating whomever may be interested in it and let them know, these plants really work, then I think we're going to kind of be on the right path to get people to become familiar and to be open to trying them.
So I have a question. I was just thinking, my aunt is a homeopath, and she subscribes to, the homeopathic medicine, which is just the little tiny pills you put under your tongue. What's the difference? Like, those are plant-based, right?
I believe they are. I do not know much about homeopathic medicine. I know I do believe it is plant, and like you did say, it's very small dosing of the plant or the medicine that's made, but I can't really speak on. I'm not really familiar with homeopathic practices.
So in terms of these plant-based medicines, like, are there safety issues? Can one, like, people are like, can you overdose on it? I mean, I would assume it's just like eating any other plant, like if you do too much of anything.
Right. Yeah, there definitely are safety issues. There are certain plants that shouldn't be taken if, there's always a chance it could interact if you're on medications. So we always suggest, please speak to your doctor if you have any questions about that. We don't know every, interaction that may happen, as I'm not a doctor, or, that's just information we don't know. Some plants shouldn't be used if you're pregnant or if you're nursing. They're plants that could almost cause an adverse effect if you are pregnant. It could cause bleeding. So, there's plants you do want to stay away from if you are planning to get pregnant or are pregnant or breastfeeding. There are plants that probably shouldn't be given to children at a young age, but adults could handle. So yes, I think, I don't want to say each plant is very specific and you have to know everything about the plant, but there are some precautions I would absolutely take. And we, again, always recommend just speaking to your doctor if you do have a question on that. We can't speak to say, yes, go ahead and take that, or no, don't go ahead and take that. So, and by overdosing, I don't necessarily think you could really overdose. I think your body would let you know if it didn't want any more of it. So whether that's, you get sick or something, like, I think your body would reject it before you had any serious adverse reactions.
So let's step back. So how did you get into this? Like, how did you start learning about plant medicine? What got you interested in it? Was there someone who was sick that was helped out? Like, how did you do this?
So it was probably about, now going on 8 years or so. I was working for a publisher, and a friend of mine said, hey, I'm going to this class at a herbal shop up in New York State. Do you want to come with me? I feel like it's something you'd be into. So I was like, yeah, sure, why not? So we go to this class, and it was hosted by Robin Rose Bennett, who is an herbalist in New Jersey. And she taught us that night how to make a cough syrup with herbs. So I'm watching, and I'm like, I could do this. Like, it just piqued my interest immediately. So we all went home with a little thing of herbal medicine. It had hawthorn berries in it, and it had honey and brandy and all sorts of things. So, I put it in the cabinet. I'm like, all right, well, I'll use that when I need it. So Matt and I decide we're going to take a trip out to Napa. The night before, my throat's scratchy. I'm like, I can't be sick. We're getting on a plane. We're going on vacation. So I was like, you know what? Let me grab that plant medicine I made in that class. So, I mean, little did I know you're supposed to strain the plants. So I went to go take like a shot worth of this with hawthorn berries, which are hard as can be. It'd be like trying to swallow a spiky coffee bean. Plants are in it. So now I'm just spitting this out. I'm like, all right, I need to find out what I should be doing and how I should be doing this, because like I had said, it piqued my interest that night. And then when I was like, this is not right, I need to figure it out. After that, it was like, I just immersed myself in it. So I ended up getting into an apprenticeship with Robin Rose Bennett. It was a 3-year apprenticeship. And once a month, we had a circle of women who went up to her home, and we learned about plants. We learned about nature. We learned how to forage plants and how to respect them. And it was amazing. So I completed that. I then took a 2.5-year course online through the Chestnut School of Herbal Medicine out of Asheville, North Carolina, and completed that, which was all self-study. So it was really me being forced to sit down and learn the plants and how to make certain things, and, you know, how to identify without me necessarily, like I did with Robin, being able to go out into the forest and touch them and find them. So it was a different way of learning, but I think both of them kind of back to back really helped me to understand how to identify, forage, and, you know, make the medicines that we make today. Matt and I have been gardening since pretty much we got together. We had a little container garden in an apartment we lived in. And then when we bought the house, we made sure we had land because we knew we wanted a garden. And now every year the garden just grows and grows and grows. We have over 75 medicinal herbs growing in our garden, as well as fruits and vegetables. And we just acquired some land up in Wantage, which is in Sussex County, where we'll be growing a lot more. So we could be, you know, using the plants that we're growing and tending to then make our products. So it's been a journey, and Matt's goes back even further because he always gardened with his mom and his dad. So he always kind of had that itch to be in the dirt. So this was just natural to him.
That's awesome. Do you grow everything organically or sustainably? And is that really important for these kind of products?
Yes, it is very important, I feel. And yes, we grow organically here. We are not certified, as we are a very, very small business, but we do follow organic practices and sustainability. We know that when we're going out and foraging, which is wild crafting, so you really can't put that organic label on it, but we know where we could go that hasn't been sprayed or isn't really, you know, touched by anything other than the animals living in the forest. We know that if we go to harvest an invasive, we could go ahead and take kind of as much as we want, like mugwort. But if we came across a patch of, you know, golden seal, or if we wanted something culinary like ramps or fiddlehead ferns, we know and we teach that, okay, no, you should not be taking all of this. This needs to stay here. So you're going to take maybe like 20% of that and leave the rest for the land or whomever else may need it, animals, birds, things like that. But yes, we do use all organic practices on our land here, and the land we got in Wantage had been organically farmed for 12 years before us coming into it. So we have no worries about that land up there either.
Oh, that's great. So I bet you've noticed that CBD is the rage now. I mean, you can get it in Bed and Bath and everywhere now.
The gas station.
And it's a plant medicine. Do you make anything with hemp, or do you grow hemp?
We don't. No, we have not. Probably about 1.5 years ago, we had toyed around the idea of starting to use it in some of our products. And I don't know why. I had a feeling. I said, I feel like this is going to kind of become the next big thing. And I don't know how it'll be perceived because there's going to be so many companies and things that I don't think are 100% trustworthy of using. So it was something we thought about, but we never really got into. But I wholeheartedly believe in the plant and the medicine it creates. You just need to be aware of whom and, where you're purchasing it through and how it's being processed and then made. So no, it's not something we really ever got into, but I respect the plant and I have no issues using it from a source, I'm 100% comfortable with.
It's now very hard to figure out the sources. There's so much out there. It's like the Wild West, and you just literally, it's really hard to figure out for the common person going in. They don't know because it's everywhere. It's in everything. Every store now has a sign that says we have CBD.
And I think that goes back to how you're saying, the average person doesn't know. And it's just like the average person that walks into the food store. Okay, so you have no clue where a lot of that produce is going or coming from. So what Matt and I also like to, talk about and, teach is get to know your farmers, get to know who's growing what you're eating or who's growing what, may be in your products. And it isn't hard. And a lot of times the farmers, they want to talk to you. They want to share what they're doing. Because, on our end, we want to share everything we're doing. So I feel like it's just that extra little step to be like, hey, how you guys growing this or where you growing it or, anything like that. And I think it's important for people to know it's okay to ask these questions because it's something you're going to be ingesting. So I think, asking the questions and prompting that conversation would benefit both the farmer, the grower, and whomever may be purchasing it.
I 100% agree with you. And I think we have gotten so far from knowing where our food comes from that we have lost touch. It's just like a commodity that you just get and some people don't even enjoy. They're just consuming to consume. And I don't know. I find real enjoyment in food and cooking food and teaching people about food. And because it's a community, food is it's like the core of community. You sit down, you talk to people. It's just, and I love that you do workshops and stuff. How often do you do that? Because it's really great to teach people.
So workshops, they kind of vary. So we do some here at our home or in our gardens. And then we also, we do workshops at garden centers or, libraries, garden clubs. Really, we're open to talking to anyone about anything we're doing. A series we do have coming up it's now April, May, and June is we're going to be leading weed walks. So what a weed walk is we're literally going to meet in a park or an area where I know it's safe to, harvest plants. And I'm going to teach you how to identify certain plants that, grow in the wild. So people are familiar with the dandelion. A lot of people love to just spray their lawns, kill them. I don't want them in my lawn. It's an amazing plant. And there are so many plants that grow wild that some look at as an invasive that you could enjoy daily. So that could be anywhere from chickweed to plantain to cleavers to spice bush. Taking a walk in the woods and being able to point out all of these plants and, teaching others that, hey, that plantain that grows in everyone's lawn, that would be great if you got stung or bit by something when you're out and about and you don't have, a salve or something to put on it. Chew up a little piece of plantain, put it on, and it's going to take the sting right out. So it's these small little bits of, I feel like people say folklore, but it's not really folklore. It's, practiced and proven pretty much that these things work.
Right.
So our weed walks are something new we're going to be doing this year. And it's literally just getting a group of people to go out into the woods and to look at the ground and look at the trees and, see what's out there for us to benefit from. The plants want to give. The plants want to help. We just have to do it in a way that we're respecting the plants.
So if people want to find out about you and find out about your weed walks, I'll put this all in the show notes, but where would they go? Your website has them, or Facebook?
Our website has all of our events listed. Easy registration for any of our events that we do. Our website is mayernikkitchen.com, which is also the company name. And you could also find us on social media, Instagram, Facebook, at Mayernik Kitchen.
Now, if anybody was interested in studying this more or wanted to look into it, do you recommend, is there an author or a book that you would recommend that people could start, or just to learn more about the different plant medicines and what's best for them, or how to identify them?
Yes, totally. So in this area, of course, I would recommend any class by Robin Rose Bennett. She's a mentor, my mentor, my friend. We've stayed very close over the years. She runs all different events. She's up in the West Milford area, so she runs events there. She runs events in the city. I'm trying to think of books, or a lot of it is online. And I know you need to really know who you're trusting, or, who you're getting your information from. So I would suggest maybe Rosemary Gladstar. She's a well-known herbalist in this, in the area. Susan Weed. She's also a herbalist in New York State. Some of her things are a little off topic, or I don't know if I agree with them, but she is an amazing, she has a lot of information.
Is that her real name, Susan Weed?
I don't think so. Because she spells it S-U-N, like sun almost. Oh. Yeah, they all, Rosemary Gladstar is, I'm not sure that's her real name. But I would say maybe, oh my goodness. Like I said, I studied through the Chestnut School of Herbs, which is online. That's an amazing program. And a lot of them offer free videos, and they offer a lot of information on their blog. And you could just really dig in that way and figure out, there's so many different types of herbalism that you could go. You could go the clinical route. You could go the medicine making route. You could go the education route. So I think it's really, you need to find what you want to do, and then find those instructors and those experts in the field.
Well, this has been awesome. Is there anything else that you want to talk about that we didn't cover?
I think we covered mostly everything.
Yeah, I think so. Don't be scared of plants. Don't be, intimidated by them. Get out there, get your hands in the dirt. Talk to them and just get to know them. I think that's the biggest thing, is get to know the plants, and I think they'll show you what they could help you with.
And get some elderberry and some maybe fire cider in the cabinet just in case.
Yeah, just in case. Yeah. And yeah, if anyone has any questions, we are always open to chatting about, anything. If it's something I don't know, I would love to recommend, I don't want to give any type of false information, but I would love to recommend someone who may be more, advanced or skilled in whatever it is. But, we're always open to chat and to teach. Keeping all the knowledge to myself isn't helping anyone. So we're an open book.
That's great. Thank you so much, Shannon.
I
really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me. And I will, I'm going to go on your store and fill up my cabinet.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. This was so fun.
Thank you. And now we are at the Book to Plate segment of Eat Well, Travel Often podcast. Here, I report back to you my personal experience. It could be a cookbook I cook from, a restaurant I ate at, even a place I recently visited. If you have any suggestions, please reach out to me. Recently, my cookbook club decided to try out Jamie Oliver's new and first vegetarian cookbook called The Ultimate Veg. I decided to make the sticky onion tart. The recipe was easy to follow and to make, and it was not only came out delicious, but it looked beautiful too. Everyone at the club seemed to like the cookbook, but noted that some of the recipes were very spicy. A friend of mine made the green mac and cheese. She said that her kids loved it, but felt it did not taste like mac and cheese, although it was delicious. The recipe included broccolini, fresh thyme, and spinach, and that's what made it green. One of my favorite recipes was the mushroom broth. It was really, really flavorful, and I would definitely make it myself. The only difference from the recipe would be I would make it with fresh broth instead of canned. A friend made the pithiver pie. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. While she was making it, she said she had to Google the recipe and watch a video to make sure she was doing it correctly. Jamie uses some strange terminology in the book. In particular, we all notice he likes to say tip instead of pour out. Not a typical word an American would use about pouring out flour or whatever in a recipe. But once you figure out what he's doing, it's easy to follow. If you are a vegetarian or looking for more plant-based meals, I would definitely add the Ultimate Veg into your cookbook library. It has a lot of recipes that you can vary or use. They're very easy to follow once you get through Jamie's English terminology. I highly recommend this book. A special thanks to Shannon from Mayernik Kitchen for taking the time to talk with me. If you want to find out more about Shannon or Mayernik Kitchen, you can go to eatwelltraveloften.net, where you can find all the show notes. You can reach me via email at melissa@eatwelltraveloften.net or on Instagram or Facebook at eatwelltraveloften podcast. I'd love to have any recommendations or comments you may have. Thank you. Eat well and travel often.